Kia ora everyone, just get your attention. Great to see a really good turnout as usual. We've got a whole lot of new members, so welcome if you're new. Put your hand up actually. Give them a big clap. New members, new beauty. Great to see you here. So we've got quite a busy afternoon, a really interesting afternoon, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm Graham Darlow and I'm the chair of the Safety Charter Steering Group. I'm also Chief Executive of Fletcher Construction, and I'd really like to acknowledge Worksafe and ACC. They've been fantastic supporters of the Charter since it was started 3 years ago. So on the 4th of July 3 years ago we established the Charter. And it's pretty impressive what we've achieved, or all of us in the room have achieved in the last 3 years. As you well know, the theme of the evening is around industrial alcohol and drug use, as it's a big issue, and many of you have also indicated this is an area under the Charter assessment tool that you'd like some focus. I'm really looking forward to hearing from Professor Anne Roach. Welcome, Anne. Shortly on her research, and Anne's from Flinders University in Adelaide. We'll hear from Craig Smith and Joe Pugh from ACC and Worksafe to hear about the new injury prevention plan. Rob Sloan, chair of the Leadership Working Group, will talk to us about some of the results from the leadership tools and an exciting new mentoring program that we are establishing, and we'll be welcoming new signatories later in the event. Special acknowledgement to a couple of people. Firstly, John Beckett. Are you here, John? Who led the Performance Working Group. So he's not here, so I'll make sure I'll send him a letter and ring him to acknowledge his really good work that he did over a few years on the Charter. And very sad that Jessica Young has been our secretariat from Worksafe for 3 good years, and she's having a baby in August. So can I just put our hands together please for Jess and John Beckett. Another major part of tonight, and something we've all been talking about for some time, is the launch of the revised Charter. Really excited to be able to show you this today, and there's been a lot of hard work put in from many Charter members who have had their say in the Performance Working Group who have led this work. So why have we changed it? We originally launched it 3 years ago, and it's been really the backbone of what we've been working on for the last 3 years. But since then, of course, we've had a new Act, and at the time there were only 51 of us involved in the Charter, and many of the larger companies. With the introduction of the new health and safety legislation in April this year, it was time to have a rethink. And we needed to make sure that the Charter was compliant with that new legislation. But we also wanted to make it more reflective on you, so our new 330 members, the majority of whom are not large businesses. We wanted to shift the emphasis away from the large businesses to the small and medium size and the trade businesses that we have across the rebuild. Importantly, by updating the Charter, we are supporting the culture change that needs to happen across New Zealand, and to make health and safety an intrinsic part of our businesses. So what's changed? Hopefully you've all picked up a paper bag on the way in here tonight. Make sure you enjoy those jelly beans. If not, make sure you collect one on the way out. There'll be plenty left over. Inside is our first chance of the updated collateral, and you'll be able to see what it looks like, see where the differences are, and you've probably got on to how your work sites and your offices will be under the new legislation. Make sure you have a good look through the changes over coming weeks. But in brief, there are still 10 commitments. Some of them are the same, and some have been reworded slightly, and others have been changed altogether. The major change is the addition of upstream and downstream duties as a new commitment to reflect the new legislation, and we've brought the former commitment of PPE and managing site safety risks. So with the change to the commitments, there are some new actions, and I won't go through them all tonight, but I'll highlight the critical risks. There's now 13 critical risks instead of 9, and the slide shows the new critical risks that are highlighted here today. We've re-engineered the organisational assessment tool that many of you have already filled out, and that will be on the website tomorrow morning for you to use. So I encourage you to use the assessment tool. We've all had a go at it. It's a really good way of determining where you are on the health and safety ladder. Over the coming months, we'll be updating all of the charter material, but for now we're just focusing on the major pieces of collateral that you'll find updated on the website, and also you'll be taking home tonight. I'd like to thank all of those people who have contributed to the revised charter. We think it's a really important piece of work to keep it fresh. So whether you were part of the performance working group or commenting on the many drafts, or all of you have contributed to the new and improved charter that we have today. So what's our updated collateral? The imagery that you see throughout the website and some of the collateral tonight has also been updated. So there's a few people I'd really like to thank to get this collateral together, and there were photo shoots across building sites across Canterbury. BJ Rakina Builders, Corbel Construction, Hawkins, Warren and Marnie and Ngāi Tahu for their support in the photo shoot that we held earlier this month. And you'll notice there's less of the stud ducks and more of the real people that are out there rebuilding the city, and a lot more diversity. So I think you'll find it's a much better look than it was before. The results are great and really illustrate the changing nature of the signatories and the way they're all working together in the Rebuild Canterbury Safely. Okay, so 3 years on, where are we at? Well, sometimes it's important to take stock and just see how far we've come. It's nearly 3 years ago to the day that many of us in the room, and it was part of the official launch of the Charter. And these are just some of the many achievements as a group. Not only we have challenged ourselves and our organisations to improve our health and safety across sites in the rebuild, but we've also encouraged our peers and competitors to do the same. And I know from personal experience that our good work is extending across the country, not only in construction but in other industries as well. The results are fantastic, and as many of you have read in this month's newsletter, they're not going unnoticed. Already a group of organisations in Nelson have been in touch with us looking for support to start their own similar initiative. How fantastic that would be, now having an influence across the Canterbury and outside of construction. And I personally have been involved interacting with the forestry industry and with the farming industry. They've engaged with me and Craig Senglow, and they are very, very interested in the way that we've established the Charter and got it up and running. And I think we're making a difference in those industries. Also, we're having input into the Safety Star rating scheme, and earlier this month I was very fortunate to receive the acknowledgement as Executive Leader of the Year in the Business Leaders Safety Forum Safeguard Awards. And for me, it was very much an acknowledgement of the Charter and what we've done to raise health and safety standards and prevent people being harmed and killed at work across the rebuild. And so I was very proud to be representing you on the stage. I did acknowledge a lot of people that have put a big effort into the Charter in my speech. But for me, it's great recognition for the Charter, and I got a wonderful letter from Gordon MacDonald, who was the Chief Executive of Worksafe, acknowledging the good work that the Charter has done. So well done, everybody. Charter levies updated. These have gone extremely well, so I really thank you for the way that you've got behind the way of this scheme and made your contributions on the levies. It's involved a lot of work, particularly from Jess Young and from Craig Senglow, and a lot of this work would not have been possible this year without your Charter levies. We've introduced them a year ago, and we're pleased to report that we've had a great response. where our target was 100 grand, and we've raised over 100 grand, so that's great. Thank you very much in your organisations for those contributions. These levies are crucial part of our model now, and without them we wouldn't be able to do many of the good things that we do. And as you can see, the majority of the levies actually went towards the campaigns and communication costs, which was part of what we had outlined in our initial budgeting. The new charter website was a big part of that, and I think if you go into the website today, you'll see the vast improvement that it was before. It's much easier to navigate. Visually, it's a lot better, and you can get to where you're going a lot quicker. So there's been some great work there. I hope you all agree with me that just how useful and fantastic this update has been, and I just want to acknowledge that some of that funding has gone into Libby Carr, who's the charter officer, and we were having our steering group meeting prior, and we acknowledged Libby by saying it's kind of some of the best money that we've spent in the charter, because Libby has the contact with the workers and the small business owners, and doing trade breakfasts and all that sort of thing. So the visibility and the communication that we have in the charter through Libby is just fantastic. So I'm very proud that some of your levies are actually contributing to Libby and the good work that she's doing. Of course, we wouldn't be able to do as much as our work in this financial year without the ongoing support of Worksafe and ACC, and I have to say that it is considerable the way they do contribute to the charter, particularly in the Secretariat, but supporting the other initiatives that we have. They've contributed a significant amount towards the tools and the measurement, and ACC has been fantastic in funding the monthly newsletters we receive in our inboxes. We'll be keeping the levies the same for the coming financial year, and we'll be aiming to increase the total amount collected by continuing to increase our charter signatories. And we are, just to let you know, we are looking quite a bit at the charter in future years. At the moment, we're just mapping out what that might look like in the coming years, and certainly there's a very strong ambition to keep the charter going into many years yet. We might change the name away from Rebuild into Construction, so it becomes the Canterbury Safety Construction Charter, because we think as the construction work across the city moves away from repair and rebuild into new build, then maybe we need a change. But that's work that's coming. So what's coming up? The good work doesn't stop here, and there's plenty planned for the weeks ahead. We'll be wrapping up our alcohol and other drug campaign next month after a successful fact sheet and event tonight. And in August, we're aiming to bring you a tidy site competition, which will be run among the other members. There's a morning tea and prizes involved, so don't forget to get involved when we announce more of it next month. We'll be looking to have a focus on worker engagement shortly too. We believe this is a big part in improving worker safety across the city, and there's a big area of the new legislation. I know it's an area where many of you are calling out for more support. Finally, we're excited to be able to launch our charter mentoring program. This is really good work. I won't go into it too much detail now, as Rob Sloan will explain it later in the evening. But I think it's going to be a fantastic opportunity for both mentors and for mentees.